so great being with you all. I'm an executive business coach, and I also work with not-for-profits to help them raise millions of dollars. I came to executive coaching, it's actually my third career, and spent a couple of decades in the apparel business, first on the buying side, then on the selling side. And this was back in the day when the apparel business was still, yes, there were the big players, but it was still very entrepreneurial. It was the kind of thing where even though I represented big lines, I could take a new line that I had just agreed to represent over to my Macy's buyer, and he or she would say, okay, I'll give you an order. It was that kind of thing. They had discretionary income, and unlike some of the rigidity that it takes place when businesses do finally scale to the size they need to be. But then my church asked me to chair a phase of its capital campaign, and I'm reporting on us approaching the Gearharts, and they're thinking about giving a gift of $5,000, but they want it to go towards this. And so we're strategizing how we can elicit that gift. And I'm going back to Speedo. I was representing Speedo at the time and thinking, this is very similar to what I do at Speedo. I forecast, I look ahead, I strategize. And so some miracles later, our consultant got a job consulting a much larger church. They needed an in-house person. He asked me if I would like him to throw my name in the hat. I said yes. And I got a position, an in-house position as a director of development for a large church in Manhattan, and was part of a team that raised many millions of dollars. And then got to raise millions for Columbia University Medical Center and a large social services agency. So it was at that point when I was thinking, where will I go to fundraise, that I came across the opportunity to coach. And those of you here today, and there are a lot of you who are listening in on this call, who are in the business world, know, and you may know something about the not-for-profit world, know there's something about the pace, about the way decisions are being made. There's some kind of drive in the business world that I really missed. And yet my base love is not-for-profits. So coaching gives me an opportunity to work with people in both worlds.
That's really great. So, so I would imagine that it's a very different kind of approach in the nonprofit world than it is in the profit world, right? I mean, it's different factors are at play.
It was interesting. The consultant that advised me that yes, this would be an easy transition of my sales and marketing skills had, I think, spent most of his career in the not-for-profit world. I would say I had a comeuppance in realizing that taking $1 million proposal to your largest customer and them approving it out of their seasonal open to buy is quite a bit different than asking an individual or a couple for a 7-figure gift that is coming right out of their livelihood and their income and may affect their future lifestyle. So yes, it's sales, but it's really very different.
Scott, did you have any questions for Lauren?
I guess my question would be, how have you seen technology in the non-profit world evolve?
Technology has played a key role in helping nonprofits identify sources for future income, and has played a key role in helping them create strategies to cultivate new customers. So that has been new clients, new donors. So I think technology has been invaluable in terms of that. We can see through technology what people, what other interests they have philanthropically. And we can see what what their footprint is in the world that may indicate to us how to best propose our organization's mission in a way that they can hear best.
That's very cool.
That's great. Kenya, did you have a question?
I do actually. I think what you do is admirable and fascinating in the same sense, because it's hard to get people committed to give to anything, right? So my first question is, have you seen any changes in philanthropic efforts since the pandemic has happened? And if so, what are some ways that you may have had to reposition how you go after developing funds in that sense?
There are always immediate changes in the patterns of giving when something happens, a world change happens. We see it in disasters. We see it after terrorist attacks. We see it during the pandemic when we look on our TVs and we see people who look just like us standing in food lines. And so, yes, there are changes that that take place after pandemics. But what has been historic through giving history is that people seem to give more. Yet I'm not telling you that there aren't not-for-profits that didn't really suffer during the pandemic time. They couldn't open the doors. They couldn't fulfill their mission. They couldn't. But the giving of people around the world seems to have remained steady and sometimes even gets stronger in times of adversity.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Kenya, did you have another question or?
I was just saying that's wonderful to hear that people actually will be more prone to give more, which totally makes sense, but that's reassuring.
So I got a question from that, Lauren. So I know I've talked to a lot of nonprofits and they used events to get people to come physically, and that's where they got a lot of their giving. Do we not need those anymore? Just kidding.
It's interesting. There's a trajectory of how you might approach people. Events are fantastic to bring new people into your realm. You're giving an opportunity to showcase your organization. Maybe maybe you can introduce them to some of your clients who have benefited from your services. So events are fantastic. They're great for board members to remind the board members why they agreed to serve on the board and to honor certain community individuals. Events hold a very important place. And when you combine them with other types of cultivation strategies, whether it is dinner parties, whether it's one-on-ones, whether it's marketing in a way that will directly relate to where a particular prospect might be on their cultivation trajectory, that's where the sweet spot is. So yes, events are wonderful, and some organizations took the virtual event to its they really maximized that particular thing. I think that's what happened. The 14 months we've been through have shown us that there are other ways to reach people.
But don't you think people are dying for events? I'm not literally trying, but that's bad.
I know.
But don't you, I mean,
Dying from no. I meant dying with
No,
floor events. Yeah.
people, we used to have a party every year and people are already asking us, are you having your party this year?
No,
I think we just want to touch somebody else. We want to smile. I want to see your smile. You want to see my smile. Yes, we want to, yes.
yeah, Jim, do you have a question?
Well, it's not a question so much as an observation. What do you think the importance of a website is to a nonprofit? Is there some way that they can use those in more creative ways in order to get their exposure built up and their reputation out there as far as what people can see?
I think the very first use of a website for building up a not-for-profit, the first use is to get the mission clear and be able to start to weave a little bit of a pattern in someone's heart and mind that wait a second, I might be interested here. And so that's I think the first part of the website. I think the website serves a very practical instance. It can be very enticing to be a great place to give, or it can really turn you off. So that's where having the proper marketing and utilizing some of our emotional intelligence tools, even in designing a page in which you give, can really matter. No, I think websites are very important, and these days, you probably agree with me. Anytime you mention the name of something, before it's fully formed on your lips, the person you're speaking with has looked it up.
So
So
Google it
without it,
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a great
I hadn't
point.
thought of that, but you're right. Everybody has their phones now. The minute you, yeah.
So that's great. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of this segment, but Lauren, how can people get in touch with you and learn about your coaching and programs and take advantage of your vast knowledge?
they could certainly visit my website, Orion, like the constellation, every grandmother's favorite constellation, developmentassociates.com, or give me a call at 917-689-9075.
And before we leave, I'd like to also point out that Lauren has, in the executive spotlight tradition, made a $100 charitable donation to the Central PA Food Bank. So thank you very much for doing that. You're welcome. You're listening to Passage to Profit with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart. Scott Brinker is our guest of honor this evening, along with Jim Dietz. We'll be back right after this.